So I've got a cool new system to show you. This is a 18K PV NHX series hybrid inverter from Watts 247. It's a cool inverter. I mean, really well thought out. Fully breakered. So we've got our load side here. It actually can support 2 different loads. And then grid side, so 2 grid inputs. And then this is the generator input, along with if you wanted to also use it with another solar array and a microinverter, you could do that. Battery inputs, and there's 2 battery terminal inputs on this, which is great. Battery breaker, DC breaker. It's got all the communication capabilities. We've got 2,000 watts of solar working right now. There's a total of 5,000 watts of solar tied to this system. Right now the demand at the house is about 300 watts, so we're pulling that out of the solar panel array. Batteries aren't doing anything right now. They're at 99% state of charge, just because the solar is supplying everything that you need for the demand at the house right now. We can look at the grid feed right now. So we've got about 4 watts, probably just idle, what's happening with the grid. And then this last one, that's for the generator setup. Don't have a generator on this one. Go back to the home screen. We can see where everything's going. Go into settings. You know, basic settings. This screen kind of determines a lot of what happens. If you're doing sellback, there's some stuff you can do with peak shaving. Going into advanced, we can set up time of use and how we want the charging going. If we want to do grid charge enabled, PV only, charge the batteries first. This is if you parallel more than these, so you can parallel these together and have, you know, you could have 24,000 watts if you wanted, or 48,000 watts. This is battery setup, so we have it set up for lithium. The default settings were good. Grid setup, we're at 12240 split with American Standard Class UL 1741. And then you can pick all your different countries. We have America because that's where we are. Generator setups, you can set up auto starts, and then just the inverter information, factory reset, back home. The interface on this is really nice. Something that this has that I really like is time of use. So you can set this up to basically charge the batteries, use only solar, only battery and solar during different specific times of the day. So you can set it up to during the daytime, solely running off of solar power, and then set maybe the first 6 or 7 hours at night to run only on the batteries. Or you can set it up to where it will run on the batteries until the batteries are depleted to 50%, and then maybe at a block of time in the morning you can use grid and solar to recharge the batteries. There's a lot of flexibility here on how to use the system. But great system. You can see the arrows right now. We got power coming in from the solar panels and going into the battery, going into the house. I did a test on this. We pulled 6,000 watts through it, and I imbalanced the load. So I had the dryer going, and then turned on about 1,500 watts of load on just L1, and it handled the imbalance without any problems. It did great. Great batteries. Ian sells these at Watts 247, this MK Energy. This is the second set of these that I've bought and installed. Great batteries. Out of the box, the communication just worked straight with the NHX. I didn't have to program anything. It picked up the batteries. It knows the state of charge. It monitors all of the charging specs for it. It was just a super easy, straightforward setup. It's really difficult to find combiner boxes that are UL listed. So what's mainly important are these components internally, the breakers that you use, the disconnects, the fuses. And so I just opted to go ahead and buy the box and build this because this IMO, UL listed. This Lovato DC fuse, UL listed. And if I need to throw a breaker in here for some other type of disconnect or anything, I can make sure that they're all UL listed, so in the future, if there is a code issue or some kind of inspection, all the components are already UL listed and you don't have to go back and try to source a bunch of it yourself. It would be great if we could start getting some combiner boxes with DIN style mounts that are UL listed, that are reasonably priced, but I was able to put this together for less than it would cost to buy, you know, a non-UL listed one off of Amazon. So, you know, and I sourced most of these parts on Amazon. The IMO switch, I had to get a DIN IMO UL listed switch. I had to get that off of eBay, but yeah, it worked great. And this, by the way, this Vivor box, this is a 16 by 16 by I think 6-inch deep. This is a great box. Like, this thing is really well made, heavy duty. Ground wires, everything's grounded, and yes, I know I still need to add my ground wire. I needed to get the get this video done though. Real heavy duty, great seals. I mean, really nice seals. Heavy gauge steel. You know, it came with all the mounting screws and extra brackets and everything. So the box is great. I bought the DIN rails separately, mounted those. Yeah, but you know, it's just it was a nice way of getting this set up and putting in something that can be easily upgraded and updated, so we can add 4 more arrays in here, add more fuses, we can add surge protection and all kinds of things in the future. Great box. And then I went over what we did in here. So we've got our mechanical bypass. Flip this off. This stops the load coming in from the inverter. Flip this on. This connects it back to the grid. So in the service panel where the meter is, we've got a 100 amp breaker in there, and we're running from that to here. So if I flip this on, grid power goes back in here, and the reason for that is this breaker feeds the house. So right now we're going from here to here. If we turn this off and turn this on, then we're going from grid to house. These are just some spares. This is a little 110 outlet that we installed on the outside of the building. But yeah, this is a great thing, and I would encourage people to, if you are grid tied, to add a small distribution panel like this and put this in. You know, total cost, they're looking at about $225 for the panel, and maybe an extra $30 in wire to $30 to $50 in wire to pull this off. And now if this fails for any reason, we can just come out here and flip this, and we're back on grid. We don't have to move wires around or anything. Back on grid, house is operational. Also, if we decide that we want to come in here and we don't want to work with the live connections, we can bypass this right here, put the house on the grid, shut all this down so there's no live connections coming in here, and then we can turn everything back on, flip it, and the house has just been without power for the 5 or 10 seconds it takes us to flip the breakers. That's it. So a really great way of integrating maintenance and redundancy into a hybrid installation where you're still connected to the grid. So great unit. These Nader breakers, they are UL listed. The NHX series, the 18K PV, is UL 1741 listed. This is also listed for use in California. And you can power it up. You can add batteries. You can put 16,000 watts of solar, I believe, in this, just with the 4 MPPTs, and each MPPT is rated up to 500 volts. And then if you wanted to, you could add another, 5 to 10,000 watts of solar, depending on the microinverter you get, and you can put that into the generator input and use time of use and generator settings and have this thing just cranking out the electricity. So battery storage is great. The inverter is done really well. Like I said, the max we could load test it with everything going in the house right now was about 6,000 watts, and it did fantastic. These are outdoor rated. Great seals on the doors. All of the seams and all of the spots where it's been pressed, and molded have all got additional caulking on them just in case there's a little air gap or anything, and so that's fantastic. And it's not too loud, you know, especially when you close the door. Came with a great mounting bracket. Holes are already 16 on center. Thing weighs about 100 pounds or more, so you might want help lifting it up once you get it mounted. And then a quick note, so it comes with I think these are 50 millimeter. Oh, now I gotta look. 50 by what? Here we go. There's one there. So those are M50 by 1.5, and all I did, I just drilled the center of these out. These are great. They've got rubber seals on them and gaskets. They're good heavy-duty plastic. And so what I ended up doing to make this mounting a whole lot easier is I just used a step bit and a hole saw, and I drilled out the center of those, and that's how I mounted my male ends for the conduit. And that worked great. It's sealed and it's in there, and it works. So yeah, this is a good idea here if you guys are looking at junctions, you know, going with 2-inch and then just drilling into it and running wire back through. That works really well. And anyway, so that's the system.